Hare Krishna and welcome to Krishna Connection Srimad Bhagavatam reading. Today we are continuing from the canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we Dhritarashtra touched, moved, and inspired by Vidura's head. He said, "Don't be a dog sitting there in the house of Yudhishthira. Earlier you tried to children, you tried to kill them, and now you're taking shelter there. Don't be so desperate. Leave immediately." So we saw that touched, moved, and inspired, and so did we. I felt touched, moved. Narada Muni has come and he has completely different vision for Yudhishthira Maharaj. And yesterday we also discussed about, I encouraged you all to outreach about how you can edit your life ruthlessly so that we can progress in our spiritual life, so that we can progress in the purpose of our life, and to not get stuck like dogs and puppies waiting outside the doors of people who are not capable of giving us that shelter. And today we'll be studying the amazing words of Narada Muni. We all face guilt and shame. We are all bound to make mistakes in our life. So today Yudhishthira is very confused to see that Dhritarashtra is gone. Gandhari is gone, and so is Vidura. They've all disappeared, and Yudhishthira cannot manage his shame and guilt. So today we'll be studying that, and let's contemplate. There's so much time we've wasted. There's so many mistakes we have done. And how do we understand everything in the right context of Srimad Bhagavatam? Let us pay full attention to what Narada Muni is telling Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira looked up, confusion evident in his eyes. Was he meant to have no feelings for his elders? Narada continued, "Consider this, Yudhishthira. If a person is the body, then your affection is for its chemical constituents. Is that sensible? If the person is a spirit soul, the soul continues unharmed even with the body's demise. If the soul is a manifestation of the all-pervasive spirit, at the time of death, he returns to that spirit. If you say the person is both the soul and the body, then still there is no reason for lamentation, as the elements comprising the body continue to exist as does the soul." Pause. Let's pause here. Yesterday, for those of you who attended the Gita Connection, we discussed exactly this point. We exactly discussed second chapter texts after 14, especially like text 26 to 30. We discussed yesterday exactly this point. There is no need for lamentation. And that whole thin line between what it means to do our duty in this body, at the same time, how do we cultivate a sense of detachment that liberates us from this bondage of self, this bondage of this material existence? And for those of you who likes to refer to that, you can go back to the channel where yesterday Gita Connection was live streamed, and you can actually watch that. I touched upon many points that we're discussing in the Bhagavatam about Yudhishthira, about Dhritarashtra, and then how Arjuna's comparison with Arjuna's fears have just come to manifest here in this first canto, these chapters where we are seeing Yudhishthira facing those huge dilemmas, huge confusion, huge turmoil that Arjuna was going through. And the difference was Krishna had spoken Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So yesterday I compared how did Krishna convince Arjuna about all these consequences that's really come to happen here in what we're seeing in this first canto with Yudhishthira. How was Arjuna convinced to take up his bow and get back on the battlefield and fight? What was it? Yesterday we discussed that in the Gita connection. So we're kind of, moving parallelly, the Gita teachings and then the Srimad Bhagavatam, and how we can apply that in our lives. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Thank you, Vilas Manjari. Vilas Manjari has just posted the link for yesterday's class for those of you who likes to catch up and find connections there. Narada Muni is continuing. Therefore, your agitation is due only to ignorance. Stop foolishly thinking that without your protection, they will suffer. The Lord alone protects us. We must simply do our duty. My dear Vaishnavis, this point is so relevant in all our relationships with our husbands. Sometimes we think, without me, my husband will be lost. He's going to do nonsense. He's going to be a useless guy. Without me, he will not be spiritual. It's an illusion. We cannot change them, protect them. The Lord alone protects us. We must simply do our duty. And what to speak of our concerns for our children? We try to control their destiny. Come on, only the Lord can protect us. So that deep understanding, yet Narada Muni is saying we must simply do our duty. See, this is Krishna consciousness. This is the act of balance. It's not about be careless, be irresponsible, and just anyway, it's all in Krishna's hands anyway. Whatever happens, if the lunch doesn't get cooked today, that was Krishna's will. No, not that kind of irresponsibility, but that sense of doing our best, but do not have expectations that things have to go according to self-will, but to be open to Krishna's plans and understand that only Krishna can actually protect us. All right. Yudhishthira's body relaxed. Narada's words made sense. Still, it was hard to give up his sense of responsibility for his ailing elders. Seeing the king's lingering unhappiness, Narada patiently continued to instruct him. Everyone's material body is under the influence of nature, time, and their karmic reactions. People in the mode of ignorance and passion are unable to help anyone, for they cannot see things as they are. See, these are very, very important points. Let's read that statement again. People in the modes of ignorance and passion are unable to help anyone, for they cannot see things as they are. Sometimes we think to fix others, right? But we ourselves are completely under the mode of passion. So here it's very clear we cannot fix somebody else if we are fixed in passion or ignorance. Continue. Those in goodness can help others to some extent. Even then, by the influence of time and destiny, they will eventually be frustrated. Time is like a cobra whose bite is always lethal. How can a person who is himself under time's influence help others? Yudhishthira remained morose. His uncle and aunt were accustomed to being served the finest foods. How would they survive in the jungle? Narada reminded him that everyone depends on Krishna for food. By his arrangement, one living being was food for another. In the forest, there were wild fruits and vegetables which could sustain a person. Wiping away his tears, Yudhishthira said, if we are all controlled by nature, time, and karma, in what sense do we depend on Krishna? Very relevant question, no? We can ask this to ourselves. This is a good question, replied Narada. Try to understand everything is the Lord's energy, including the living entities, the modes of nature, time, and karma. As such, it is all under his supreme control. Only because we forget this do we suffer. Therefore, the Lord manifests within us as supersoul and without as a spiritual master. And scripture, just to rectify our errant mentality. Only by taking his guidance can we remain undisturbed by material happiness and distress. Okay, let's pause here. Assimilate these very important principles. Why do we suffer? We suffer because we try to control. We suffer because we don't accept Krishna as the controller. Okay, I'm going to stop here and I'd ask somebody else to take over the reading from here.
Shall I read, Mataji?
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Placing a reassuring hand on Yudhishthira's arm, Narada said, "Time is merely another form of your friend, Krishna. As time, he destroys the faithless, but he is not at all dangerous to his faithful devotees. He came to the earth to help the gods by annihilating the miscreants. Soon he will end his earthly pastimes. When Krishna departs, good thing, you and your brothers should also live. As for your uncle and aunt, along with Vidura, they have gone to the southern side of the Himalayas, to the Saptashota region, where the sages reside. Dhritarashtra has begun the practice of mystic yoga, bathing thrice daily and taking only water. He will thus become free of familial attachment. By the breathing process, he will turn his senses towards Brahman and rise above the influence of material nature. By creating all sensual activity, he will become fixed in trance. Merging with the Supreme, he will then rise to the spiritual sky. Most probably on the fifth day from now, he will quit his body in the fire of self-immolation, which will burn his thatched cottage to ashes. His chaste wife will enter that fire with fixed mind and go with him to the external atmosphere. What about Vidura? Asked Yudhishthira. And afflicted with delight and grief, he will leave that sacred place and continue his pilgrimage. The sage then took his leave and ascended into space. Yudhishthira sat in thought. He felt relieved of his concern for Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, but Narada's words had filled him with another anxiety. Krishna's departure was imminent. Would it be possible to see him again before that time? He asked Arjuna to go immediately to Dwaraka to ask the Lord about his plans.
Okay. So you see, Yudhishthira Maharaj is like unaware of what has happened to Krishna and what has happened to the Yadus. Every good chapter has to close. Every painful chapter also has to close. But that closing, as long as Krishna is not there, is not a closing at all. And Jatasahi Dhruvo Mrityur, yesterday we discussed that verse. Whatever is born has to die. And whatever is dead has to take birth again. So if we don't learn our lessons when we are closing the chapters of life, the will come back in another chapter, in another form, in the form of another human being, in the form of another difficulty. So closing chapter means embracing those factors such as kala, karma, time, and then our previous activities. And with humility and grace, accept that this is Krishna's plan. And to stop doing this whole self-will game, because the self-will game keeps us in this world. Thank you, Rajshri. Can we have another volunteer to continue from the next chapter reading?
Hare Krishna, can I? Arjuna is away far longer than expected. Yudhishthira observes inauspicious omens and is worried that Krishna may have already departed. When Arjuna returns, he is very distressed. Months passed and Arjuna,
Ashka, try to speak away from the mic, like little bit far distant,
yes,
because it's
Yudhistira began. Now it's okay.
yeah.
Yudhistira began to observe fearful omens, blood rain down with dust storm and cloudless thunder, crows shrieked, and jackals bayed. The people were quarrelsome, and the deities in temple appeared as if cry and about to leave. Yudhishthira anxiously conferred with Bhima. It is 7 months since Arjuna left. See now, this terrible portents has the time. For the Lord's departure arrive. As Narada indicated, how can we live without him? All our success came from him. He is our only support. This fearful sign indicate the earth's good fortune has ended. For the Lord will no longer place upon her his lotus-like feet. The king continued to fret until at last Arjuna returned. Seeing him entering the royal court, Yudhishthira jumped down from his throne and hurried toward him. Arjuna appeared downcast and he sighed repeatedly. Yudhishthira clasped both his brother's hand in his own. For some moment he gazed at Arjuna, who looked down at the floor, constantly shedding tears. Remembering the fateful words of Narada, Yudhishthira began to question him with great apprehension. Tell me, dear brother, are the Yadus and their friends well? Please turn
Thank
the page.
Let's pause. Let's pause here. Now, so many omens are happening. This is a indication of when things are not going properly or we are not on the right path. In our lives too, we're trying to do something, so many obstacles keep coming. There are signs from Krishna. Maybe we're trying to go ahead with a certain thing, and there's so many signs that this may not be the right thing for you. This may not be the right time for you. Maybe it's in terms of a relationship. Maybe it's in terms of a career. Maybe it's in terms of trying to establish something specific. So a devotee is always sensitive and open to observe the omens around. Sometimes we try to go and meet somebody, and again, every time we try to meet that person, maybe certain inauspicious things are happening. Some clear indications are there to be careful, to not trust that person. So it's very, devotees are very subtle. It's not about gross things. It's not about self-will. I want to do this and I don't care. I want to do this. No, we are in a humble mood. Krishna, somehow you've inspired me to do this. Give me the strength so I can continue the way you want me to. And in this case, there are certain disappointments in store for Yudhishthira. We cannot even imagine how devastating the news is going to be. Sometimes it's like that. We don't know the imminent difficulty that is ahead of us. We're just waiting for that to manifest. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else wants to read?
My respectable grandfather Surisena, happy. Our uncle Vasudeva, his brothers and his wives, all in good spirits. Our Ugrasena, Akrura, Riddhika, Jayanta, Gada, Zarana, and Shatrujit, all faring well. How is Balaram, the Supreme Lord and Protector of the devotees? Continuously weeping, Arjuna made no reply. Yudhishthira wrung his hands in anxiety. Had Krishna ended his pastimes? He went on naming the residents of Dwarka, including Krishna himself, asking after their welfare. The great Yadu heroes, protected by the Lord's powerful arms, enjoy life like the residents of Vaikunta. Krishna's loving wives enjoy opulence and pleasures meant for the king of heaven. All his relatives are fearless in every respect, and their feet trample over the celestial Sudharma assembly house, which they took from the gods. Pray tell me, Arjuna, how are they now? As Yudhishthira pressed Arjuna for news of the others, the color drained from Arjuna's face. His body trembled and the tears streamed from his eyes. Yudhishthira anxiously asked, My dear Arjuna, is your health good? What has disturbed you? Is it due to others disrespecting you because of your long stay at Dwaraka? Has someone addressed you with unfriendly words or threatened you? Could you not give charity to one who asked? Or could you not keep your promise to someone? The king placed his bejeweled hands on his brother's shoulders. The king placed his bejeweled hands on his brother's shoulders. You always protected deserving living beings such as Brahmins, children, cows, men, women, and the disabled. Could you not safeguard them when they asked you for shelter? Have you mistreated a woman, or have you?
Yeah, let's pause here for a second. See the concerns. These are things that we should be worried about. Health. If we're not feeling good, there's something we need to do. If something is disturbing us, we need to take a look. If somebody is disrespecting us because of us bothering them, it's something we need to also take a look. If somebody has threatened us, something to look at. So these are very, very key things to say. What are certain human flaws that could bother us? And then charity. Maybe Arjuna is a very charitable person. So like, did you not keep your promise to somebody? Did you not give charity to somebody who asked you? See, these are the things that we should be worried about. Yeah, please continue.
Being defeated on the way by someone inferior or equal to you? Yudhishthira sighed deeply. Surely his suspicions about Krishna were true. Arjuna could not be guilty of any of his speculative suggestions. In a voice thick with anxiety and sorrow, he said, Or could it be that you are feeling empty for all time due to losing your most intimate friend, Krishna? Dear brother, I can think of no other reason for your despondency.
Oh my God, right? Oh my God, imagine this moment. Imagine Yudhishthira asking Krishna, the most dear friend, the protector, the maintainer, the one who is always there for them. Can you even imagine? I cannot even imagine that departure of Krishna in the lives of Pandavas. Oof. Separation. Also, we can make a parallel. In our life, when we are unable to see Krishna's hand, if we are unable to hand over to Krishna our life, this is how the emotions can overwhelm us. We can be completely lost. We can stop here for today. And tomorrow we'll continue the Pandavas' departure. Anybody has any questions?
I have a question, Mataji. Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Mataji, when we see, suppose how to relate this actually, that's why I'm asking. Suppose we know some of our very close friend or close somebody from our childhood. Suddenly, at some point of in life, we get to see the real picture of that person, which is totally unexpected. The opposite side, a very dark side, where like time has shown us. How should we behave? We are unable to throw the person out of the life or unable to accept also. So how to behave, Masaji?
This is very relevant to the next part of the meditation that I'm going to affirmation that we're going to do. So I just request you to hang in there and let's do this. Okay. This particular chapter is a very important chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam because there are connections to several things Krishna says to Arjuna in the beginning of Gita. So many dilemmas that Arjuna faced have now come true in this chapter. So many of those fears have completely taken over the lives of Pandavas. They've lost their own children, and then for another few decades, they are trying to rule this kingdom. Parikshit is born, and also his death is predicted. Dhritarashtra has left, Kunti has left, Gandhari has left. Sorry, not Kunti. Kunti also left, actually. Now the Pandavas are left with this sense of lingering emptiness. Can you imagine Krishna leaving? Our lives too, there are chapters that will close. There will be chapters that are very disturbing for our minds, and we are waiting for that chapter to close. And there may be certain time that we want to freeze in our lives, and we don't want it to go away. We don't want it to pass. We want to hold on to those memories because they gave us comfort and security. We're afraid of losing something nice in our life. We're afraid of losing the nice people in our life. And sometimes we are afraid of the people that we don't like being in our lives. That lingering feeling of we want to get rid of these people who are a sense of perturbation for us. Regardless of what kind of fear, letting go of fear is our goal. Letting go of fear and having faith in Krishna. So picture yourself swimming, floating peacefully down a gentle stream. All you need to do is breathe, relax, and go with the flow. Go with the flow of life. Suddenly, you become conscious of your situation, frightened, overwhelmed with what ifs. Your body tenses. You begin to thrash around frantically looking for something to grab onto. You panic so hard, you start to go under. Then you remember, you're working too hard at this. You don't need to panic. All you need to do is breathe, relax, and go with the flow. You won't drown. Panic is our great enemy. We don't need to become desperate. If overwhelming problems appears in our life, we need to stop struggling. We can tread water for a bit until the equilibrium returns. Then we can go back to floating peacefully down the gentle stream. It is our stream of life. It is a safe stream where Krishna is behind us. Our course has been charted. All is well. Everything is ordained by the Lord. Everything is going exactly according to the plan of Krishna. Today, all you need to do is relax, breathe, and go with the flow. Be in the present. Enjoy those moments of pleasurable vibes. Feel gratitude for all those things that we are feeling good about. And tolerate those difficult relationships, difficult lessons that we are forced to learn. All we do is be in the present, surrender to the will of the Lord, and keep going, keep moving. They say the only way out of hell is to keep going through the hell. So you cannot just suddenly overnight stop being in that difficult situation, that difficult chapter. You need to tolerate it and let the end come the way Krishna has planned. We cannot escape those miseries. Even Pandavas did not escape those painful situations, painful chapters of life. They are part of our making. Krishna is turning us into that devotee who is like a sandalwood. When it's rubbed against a stone, sandalwood paste comes out. Currently, we are just filled with anger and greed and shame and fear. So Krishna is working on us. He's removing layer after layer the character defects that is stopping us from being ourselves, being the full best version of ourselves. So let us allow the Lord to work on us. We are all work in progress. So don't be despondent. Don't be impatient. Just let the Lord take control. Let's embrace those closures. Let's embrace those difficult chapters. Let go and let Govinda. Thank you very much for attending this Krishna Connection Bhagavatam reading. And now we open this meeting for affirmations. This is a special moment for you to affirm whatever it is that you really want for today, for the next 24 hours. What benediction would you like? What would you like to affirm for yourself? So it can be that thing we can cling to.
Mataji, can I ask something? Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Mataji, should we get rid of the toxic people from our lives when we see that actually they are creating toxicity in our thoughts, in our hearts? Maybe we are deeply attached to them in due course of time. Should we try to get detached from them or remove them from our life?
You see, there is not like a black and white answer for that. What we can learn from Gita, what we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam is that the Lord has a plan. He has a perfect plan for us and for the other person. For the Pandavas, to get rid of Duryodhana, I mean, what was it for Krishna? He could just blow, oof, and then the whole Kurus could have been destroyed. But Krishna took 13 years in preparation for that great war. So many opportunities were given, so many lessons, so many atrocities were tolerated. Who are we to say when to get rid of who, when to close the chapter? It's not our call. So what we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam is not about when, say, Parikshit. It's not that he decided. Destiny worked out in a certain way and he had to be ready at that point. And then Shringi cursed him and in 7 days he was going to die. So sometimes the lessons will become unfold itself, manifest itself. We don't have to kick and scream and try to swim against the current. Sometimes all we need to do is just float there. Just wait for the Lord to give us those omens, to give us those indications, to give us those signs. So the point of this program of recovery is that we focus on our side of the street. We look at what is it that I need to do to remove my character defects. It's very difficult. It's easier said than done that if we are in a difficult, toxic relationship, that person is going on abusing. It's very difficult for us to think, what is my fault here? What is my character defect here? How can I improve myself? It's very difficult to think like that. That's the best course of action, because we cannot take fate and destiny in our own hands. All we do is pray to the Lord. And trust me, when we depend on the Lord, it's the perfect time, perfect situation, in a perfect way, Krishna removes those people from our life when he decides it and when we have finished learning our lesson. So what we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam and the great devotees' lives is that what Narada Muni is telling, Yudhistira. He's not telling Yudhistira that, oh, everybody has left, now you should do this, this, this. He's just saying, just be there. Be in this moment of grief. Be in this moment. So sometimes, who says that we should not face difficulties? Who says that we should not face traumas? Who says that we are supposed to have a smooth life? I've been thinking about this since past few days. If you look at Kunti Devi's traumas, we don't even have a 0.00001% of the traumas that she faced. Talking about abuse and atrocities, there's no comparison. But the point is, what is Krishna's will? Why he's putting me in this situation? What is it that Krishna wants me to learn? Vilas Manjari is saying, or Krishna removes toxicity from that person when we learn our lessons. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now everybody has their own lessons, so Krishna can help us. Either the relationship can change, or we change, or that person is removed from our life. We do not know what it is. Both in good and difficult relationships. We don't know when is the last time we've spent time with that person. So the point is prayer. We surrender to the Lord. We don't sit down and overthink. We don't want the drinking, thinking problem. We keep thinking, oh, maybe I should say it this way, and I should control the situation that way. Maybe I should teach the lesson in this way, and maybe I should get rid of this person tomorrow, tell this and this. And we just let the Lord take control. It's the best solution. And then keep requesting the Lord to purify our heart, to remove our character defects, and give us the strength to do His will. See, it's not by chance that we have some toxic person in our life, some karma, something that has come. So we don't get attached, nor do we become disgusted. We remain in that position of neutrality. And we ask the Lord to help us. Okay, is that helpful?
Yes. Mataji, I would like to say here is, I can say this because I'm qualified because of my past and conditioning. So I have to depend on Krishna to give me the qualifications I lack to become a pure devotee. Here I can pray to Lord. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Rajshri. You see, your questions are very relevant. Yesterday, we addressed many of this in the Gita class. I suggest that you look at that link because the goal is not to become pure devotee. The goal is to please Krishna. Even in our difficult circumstances, the goal is not that I want the great qualities. The goal is more about how does Krishna want me to be in this situation, with this difficulty, with this anartha? What is it that he wants me to become? So the goal is often Krishna and not so much about our own plans for us becoming the pure version. So I highly recommend you listen to yesterday's talk because it's all very connected.
Okay. Sure,
Okay.
Mataji, and it is very helpful. Whatever you said till now, really, I can realize now. And accordingly, I will set my affirmations for today also. I invite Lord, actually, I invite Lord to give me the wisdom of the lessons which He wants me to learn from this situation, and so that I can move ahead and don't get entangled my thoughts, my heart within these negativities. Thank you.
Yeah, may the Lord give you the strength. Let us all pray to Krishna to show us His hand. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Hari Bol. Have a blessed day, all of you, and Mataji too.
You too, everybody. Yes. I'll go next. My affirmation is, my dear Lord, give me the strength to stay in this moment of difficulty, the grief, the separation, and the disappointments. May I not lose the opportunity to come closer to you because of all the disappointments. May I take advantage of these to take shelter, more and more shelter of you, and to realize the temporariness of mundane relationships and to move beyond that. At the same time, do my duties. Thank you.
My affirmation is to acknowledge that Krishna is the ultimate controller of everyone's life, including mine. So I don't have to control others' behavior, or even with the intention of teaching them or correcting them or making them better version of themselves. So I just want to affirm that I accept the situation, the person, as perfect arrangement of Krishna's plan under his control. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. May Krishna give you the strength. May Krishna bless all of us to let go and let Govinda. Thank you. Who likes to go next?
Hare Krishna. I'd like to affirm that instead of always being a very bewildered, not always, but most of the time, when uncomfortable situations just pop up, instead of being in a bewildered state and reasoning out like how Yudhishthira was checking up with the Arjuna as to what was the reason for him being really down, instead of going through different options and exhausting myself. I would like to just understand, like how you said, this is Krishna's perfect arrangement, and I would like to just accept it with all my heart and see what is it that I can learn. What are the lessons that he wants me to learn, or to learn from these uncomfortable situations, and accept it wholeheartedly. First, accept the situation and learn from that, learn lessons from that, and then still smile and go about through the situation. Like, I love this, the analogy that you were talking about. In the water, you'll get back to the position of being able to stay afloat. So whenever the water just gushes and pushes me deep under, and in those situations of struggling with my mind, I would just like to relax and accept it. This is Krishna's will. And then when situations will definitely change, because this is material world, nothing is permanent, then I will come back to the afloat state with Krishna. So this is what I would like to affirm today. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful, beautiful. May Krishna give you that courage to stay afloat. And may Krishna bless us all to do his will. Thank you. Rasastali?
Yeah, Mataji, I just said about my past sins and conditioning, and because I'm unqualified, so
Oh, right.
I'm dependent on Krishna to like give me more power and so
Try.
me the qualification I lack.
Yes. Sorry, I called upon you again. Thank you. Yes, very, very, very important affirmation.
For my
Thank you very much, everybody. And see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your lovely guidance.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.